Welcome to Elevate and Thrive, where your mindset evolves. Right now, somewhere in the future, there is a version of you who is living the life you dream about, confident, disciplined, proud, and free. But there is also another version of you tired, regretful, asking where all the time went. Both futures are real, both are being built, and the only thing deciding which one you become is what you choose to do today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, but now. Every excuse you make, every delay you justify, every moment you choose comfort over effort is a brick laid in the wrong future. Time is watching, it never stops, and it will turn your habits into your destiny whether you're paying attention or not. Your future is not created by massive, dramatic moments. It is built quietly through the small decisions you make every single day, often without realizing their importance. Each choice, no matter how minor it seems, carries weight. What you do when your alarm goes off, how you spend the first hour of your morning, whether you choose focus or distraction. Whether you act or delay, these decisions don't feel powerful in the moment, but together they shape the direction of your life. Small decisions are dangerous because they feel harmless. Skipping a workout once doesn't seem like a big deal. Ignoring a task today feels manageable. Choosing comfort over effort for one evening feels justified. But these choices don't exist in isolation. They stack. One becomes two. Two become habits, and habits become your lifestyle. Over time, the results of these small decisions become impossible to ignore. Your brain is constantly being trained by what you repeatedly choose. When you choose discipline, even in small ways, you are teaching yourself that you are capable of showing up. When you choose avoidance, you are teaching yourself that discomfort should be escaped. Neither lesson feels life-changing in the moment, but both are shaping the person you are becoming. The future version of you is being built by these lessons right now. People often underestimate the power of consistency because it lacks excitement. Big decisions feel important. Small ones feel boring, but boredom is where progress lies. The person who improves slightly every day will always outperform the person who waits for the perfect moment to change everything at once. Small decisions remove pressure, they make growth sustainable, and sustainability is what creates lasting results. Every day you are casting votes for the kind of life you will live. One vote does not decide the election, but thousands of votes do. In the same way, one good decision doesn't transform your life, but repeated good decisions do, and the opposite is also true. Repeated poor decisions slowly move you away from the life you want, often without any dramatic warning. You don't need extreme motivation to make small decisions. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need confidence. Small decisions only require honesty. Honesty about where you are and where you want to go. They require you to choose alignment over comfort. Over time, these small alignments compound into massive change. The problem is that small decisions don't provide immediate feedback. You don't feel healthier after one workout. You don't feel successful after one focused session. But the absence of immediate results does not mean the decision didn't matter. It means the decision is working quietly. Just like planting a seed, nothing seems to happen at first, but beneath the surface, growth is taking place. Small decisions also build identity. When you consistently choose to act, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. That identity becomes self-reinforcing. You act because you believe you are capable, and you believe you are capable because you act. This cycle starts with small decisions, not grand plans. Waiting for big changes often leads to inaction. People tell themselves they will start when they have more time, more energy, or more confidence. But the future they want is built by what they do with what they have right now. Small decisions are always available. You can make them on your worst days and your best days. That is their power. Every small decision is a direction. It either moves you closer to the life you want or further away from it. There is no neutral choice. Even doing nothing is a decision with consequences. The future you experience will be the sum of the choices you made when no one was watching, and those choices are happening today in moments that feel ordinary but are anything but. Time does not slow down for confusion, fear, or hesitation. It does not wait until you feel ready, confident, or motivated. It keeps moving forward with absolute certainty, second by second, day by day, year by year, whether you take action or stay stuck. Time advances the same way. This is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid facing. You may feel like you're standing still, but you're not. You're being carried forward by time regardless of what you do. When you don't move, when you delay, when you wait for the perfect moment, time doesn't pause with you. It keeps going, and that means your future keeps approaching. Responsibilities grow, opportunities shift, energy changes, What felt easy to do later becomes harder to do now, not because you became weaker, but because time added weight to the decision. The longer you wait, the heavier it feels to start. Many people believe that staying still is safer than moving forward. They think that by not taking risks, they are protecting themselves. But staying still while time moves is not safety. It is silent loss. While you hesitate, other people are building skills, gaining experience, and creating momentum. Life does not reward potential, it rewards movement, and time amplifies the difference between those who act and those who wait. Time moving forward while you don't creates a dangerous illusion. It makes you believe you still have control because nothing dramatic is happening. There is no immediate failure, no sudden collapse. Everything feels the same, but beneath the surface something is changing. Distance is growing between where you are and where you could be. That distance is created quietly, without warning, until one day it feels overwhelming. Every day you delay, time adds another layer of regret. At first, it's easy to ignore. One day doesn't seem important, 1 week feels manageable. But time compounds, weeks turn into months, months turn into years. And then you look back and realize the life you wanted required time you already spent. Time didn't betray you, you gave it away. The most painful part is that time does not care about your intentions. Wanting to change does not slow it down. Planning to start does not earn you extra time. Only action alters how time works in your favor. When you move, time becomes an ally. When you don't, it becomes a force pushing you toward outcomes you didn't choose. You are always becoming something. Even when you feel stuck, you are aging, learning patterns, building habits, and reinforcing behaviors. Time ensures that change is happening whether you participate or not. The only question is whether the change is intentional or accidental. If you don't decide who you are becoming, time will decide for you. People often say they feel lost, but the truth is they are just inactive while time is active. They expect clarity to appear before they move, but clarity is created through movement. Time does not reveal answers to those who wait. It rewards those who step forward and learn along the way. Movement gives feedback. Feedback creates growth. Growth builds direction. When time moves and you don't, fear grows louder. Doubt becomes more convincing. Starting feels riskier because more is at stake. The cost of failure seems higher even though it's not. What has really increased is the emotional weight of delay. Time magnifies hesitation. There will never be a moment when time slows down and gives you permission to begin. That moment does not exist. The only way to stop falling behind is to move while time is moving. Even imperfect action changes the relationship you have with time. Instead of being dragged forward, you begin to guide where you're going. The future you will live in is approaching at full speed. You cannot negotiate with time. You cannot pause it. You can only decide whether you will meet that future prepared or full of regret. Time is moving right now. The question is no longer whether you have time. The question is whether you are moving with it or being left behind by it. Comfort feels good because it asks nothing from you. It allows you to stay where you are without questioning your choices. It wraps your life in familiarity and tells you that nothing needs to change right now. And that is exactly why it is dangerous. Comfort does not stop time. It only delays your growth while time keeps moving forward. Every day spent choosing comfort is a day where your life stays the same while your future quietly slips further away. Comfort convinces you that waiting is wise. It tells you that now isn't the right time, that you should rest a little longer, that you deserve ease after everything you've been through. These thoughts feel reasonable, even responsible, but comfort never asks where this path leads. It only asks how you feel right now. Discipline, on the other hand, asks you to think beyond the moment. It asks you to consider the future you are building, not just the relief you feel today. When you choose comfort repeatedly, your life enters a holding pattern. Nothing collapses, but nothing improves either. Days start to look the same, weeks blur together, you stay busy but not fulfilled, tired but not progressing. Comfort keeps you occupied without moving you forward. It replaces purpose with routine and growth with distraction. Over time, this becomes normal and normal becomes permanent. Discipline disrupts that cycle. Discipline is uncomfortable because it demands effort when comfort is available. It asks you to act when it would be easier to avoid, to focus when distraction is tempting, to work when quitting feels justified. Discipline doesn't care how you feel in the moment. It cares about who you are becoming. And every disciplined action, no matter how small, lays another brick in the foundation of a better life. Comfort delays your life by pushing important things into the future. Your goals, your potential, your best self are always scheduled for later. Discipline pulls them into the present. It forces you to face reality now instead of postponing it. That is why discipline builds and comfort delays. One creates momentum, the other creates stagnation. Comfort also lies about safety. It makes you believe that staying the same protects you from failure, but staying the same does not protect you from regret. In fact, it guarantees it. Discipline carries the risk of discomfort, But comfort carries the certainty of disappointment. One hurts briefly, the other hurts deeply and for much longer. The hardest part is that comfort feels productive. You feel like you're doing something because you're busy, scrolling, planning, thinking, preparing. But none of these build the life you want without action. Discipline turns intention into execution. Comfort keeps intention trapped in your head. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you strengthen your self-respect. You begin to believe in your own words. Comfort breaks that trust slowly. Each time you avoid what matters, you teach yourself that your promises don't matter. Over time, that damages confidence and identity. Comfort keeps you focused on the present version of yourself. Discipline focuses on the future version. One protects who you are now, the other builds who you could be. Growth always requires leaving something behind, and comfort resists that at all costs. Discipline accepts the cost and pays it willingly. Most people don't realize how expensive comfort is until years have passed. By then, the opportunities are fewer, the energy is lower, and the regret is heavier. Discipline would have asked for effort daily. Comfort took time silently. Discipline builds slowly but surely. Comfort delays quietly but relentlessly. You don't destroy your potential in one dramatic moment. You delay it through small choices made daily. Choosing ease over effort, silence over action, comfort over discipline. And those choices accumulate into a life that feels empty despite being easy. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. It is the decision to build instead of delay. Comfort feels good now, but discipline feels good later. And later is where your future lives. Every future you admire was built by ordinary days handled with intention. Not massive breakthroughs, not sudden transformations, but small decisions repeated when no one was watching. What you do today feels insignificant because the results are invisible right now. That's the trap. The absence of immediate reward makes today feel optional. But today is not neutral. Every action you take is a vote for the life you are moving toward, and every action you avoid is a vote against the person you could become. The future is not something that suddenly arrives. It is assembled quietly through habits, routines, and choices that feel boring, uncomfortable, or unnecessary in the moment. You don't wake up one day disciplined. You practice discipline when it feels pointless. You don't wake up confident. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself on days when motivation is low. The future you want is being shaped right now by how seriously you treat the present moment. People often wait for clarity before they act, believing that once everything makes sense, effort will feel easier. But clarity comes from action, not before it. The path reveals itself as you walk it. Today's effort creates tomorrow's direction. Waiting for the perfect moment only delays the process and hands control of your life to hesitation. What makes today powerful is not its intensity, but its consistency. One focused hour today is more valuable than a perfect plan you never execute. One disciplined choice today matters more than 10 motivational thoughts you don't act on. Progress is not dramatic, it is quiet and cumulative. And because it is quiet, it is easy to underestimate. That's why so many people drift instead of build. Every excuse you accept today becomes a standard you live by tomorrow. If you allow yourself to quit when it's hard today, quitting becomes familiar. If you push through resistance today, resilience becomes normal. Your nervous system learns from repetition. Your identity forms around what you repeatedly do, not what you occasionally attempt. The danger of postponing effort is that tomorrow feels exactly like today. Tomorrow inherits your habits, not your intentions. If you avoid the work today, tomorrow will feel heavier, not easier. Momentum doesn't magically appear. It is created by starting when you don't feel ready and continuing when you don't feel motivated. Today is also where self-respect is built or broken. Each time you follow through on what you said you would do, you reinforce trust in yourself. Each time you don't, that trust weakens. Over time, this shapes how seriously you take your own goals. A future built without self-trust feels fragile, no matter how successful it looks on the outside. The present moment is the only place where change is possible. You cannot act in the past, and you cannot work in the future. You can only work now. That makes today incredibly valuable. Wasting it is not dramatic, but it is costly. You don't feel the loss immediately, but you live with it later. Small improvements today compound into massive differences over time. A slightly better routine, a slightly stronger focus, a slightly higher standard for yourself. These changes don't impress anyone in the moment, but they separate lives years down the line. The gap between where people end up is rarely talent. It is the accumulation of ordinary days used well. The present is where discipline replaces wishful thinking, where effort replaces hope, where responsibility replaces excuses. Every meaningful future demands payment up front, and that payment is made in today's actions, not tomorrow's, not some days. Today's, you don't need to overhaul your life today. You need to show up. You need to choose one action that moves you forward instead of standing still. That single choice changes the direction of your momentum. And momentum, once built, changes everything. Your future is not waiting for you to feel ready, it is being built by what you do right now. Every focused moment strengthens it, every distracted moment weakens it. The present is not small, it is decisive. Most people underestimate how powerful small, repeated actions really are because they are addicted to visible change. They want proof, they want confirmation that what they're doing matters. But real transformation doesn't announce itself. It grows silently, almost invisibly, while you're busy questioning whether it's even working. That's why consistency feels boring and why most people abandon it too early. They mistake silence for failure and slowness for weakness. Every great outcome you admire was built through accumulation, not intensity, not motivation spikes. Accumulation, a single workout doesn't transform a body. A single focused day doesn't create success. A single disciplined decision doesn't change a life. But when those decisions stack, when they repeat day after day, they compound into something unstoppable. The problem is that compounding only becomes obvious after time has passed, and most people quit right before the curve turns upward. Small actions matter because they bypass resistance. They don't scare you. They don't overwhelm you. They don't trigger excuses. Anyone can do something small, and because it feels manageable, it gets repeated. Repetition is where power lives, not in how hard you go once, but in how often you show up when it would be easier not to. What makes consistency dangerous is that it reshapes your identity without asking for permission. When you repeatedly act in a certain way, your brain stops debating and starts accepting. You stop asking, should I do this? And start thinking, this is just who I am. That identity shift is permanent. And once it happens, progress becomes automatic instead of forced. People often wait for motivation to stay consistent, but consistency is what creates motivation, not the other way around. When you see yourself keeping promises, momentum builds. When momentum builds, confidence follows. When confidence follows, effort feels lighter. It becomes a loop that feeds itself. But it only starts with showing up when nothing feels exciting yet. Small improvements don't just add up, they multiply. A slight improvement in focus makes learning faster. Faster learning improves skill. Improved skill creates better results. Better results increase belief. Increased belief fuels effort. What started as a tiny change becomes a completely different life trajectory, but from the outside, it looks like it happened suddenly. In reality, it was quietly forming for months or years. Inconsistency works the same way, just in the opposite direction. Skipping small efforts doesn't feel like sabotage in the moment. It feels harmless, but repeated avoidance compounds too. Missed days become missed weeks. Missed weeks become lost years. The damage isn't dramatic, which is why it's so dangerous. You don't notice it until you're far from where you wanted to be. Consistency also builds emotional resilience. When you commit to showing up daily, you learn how to work through boredom, frustration, and self-doubt. You stop relying on feelings to dictate your actions. That skill transfers into every area of life. You become harder to shake, harder to derail, harder to stop. The people who succeed long-term are not the most intense. They are the most reliable. They understand that average effort repeated long enough beats extreme effort done occasionally. They don't search for hacks. They master the basics and respect the process. They trust that time will reward discipline even when it feels unrewarding. Every day you repeat a positive behavior, you make the next day easier. The friction decreases, the habit strengthens. What once required effort becomes natural. That's the real payoff of consistency, not the external result, but the internal stability it creates. Your life doesn't change in leaps, it changes in layers. Layer by layer, habit by habit, choice by choice. Small actions are not small when they are repeated. They are the foundation of everything meaningful. And the moment you commit to consistency, even when it feels pointless, your future quietly begins to change. Most people think change happens when something big finally happens to them, but real change happens when the way you think about time, effort, and discipline shifts. The sixth keynote is about understanding that your future is being shaped quietly by what you repeat every single day, whether you're paying attention or not. Your life is not moving randomly. It is following a direction set by your daily choices, and those choices don't wait for permission from motivation or perfect timing. Every day you wake up, you are voting for the kind of future you will live in. Not with words, not with plans, but with actions. What you choose to do when no one is watching matters more than any big promise you make to yourself. The uncomfortable truth is that your future doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to your behavior. You can want change deeply and still build the same life if your daily actions never change. Most people overestimate what they can do in one day and underestimate what 1 year of consistency can do. They think this isn't enough to matter, so they stop. They don't realize that time is always working, either for them or against them. If you're not intentionally building, you are unintentionally drifting. And drifting always has a destination, even if you never chose it. The future you want isn't created by dramatic moments. It's created by boring ones. The moments when you could quit but don't. The moments when you choose discipline over comfort. The moments when progress feels invisible. These moments don't feel important while you're living them, but later they are the moments that explain everything. What makes this dangerous is that time doesn't warn you. One day looks like the next. Skipping effort today feels harmless. Putting things off feels justified. But delay compounds, and one day you wake up and realize years have passed and the life you imagined feels far away, not because you failed once, but because you slowly trained yourself to choose ease over growth. Your habits are shaping your future identity. Every repeated action is a message you send to yourself about who you are. When you consistently avoid hard things, you become someone who avoids. When you consistently show up, even imperfectly, you become someone who can be trusted. That identity follows you into every area of life. Careers, relationships, confidence, self-respect. Nothing is separate. People wait for clarity before acting, but clarity comes from action. When you move, even unsure, the path starts to reveal itself. When you stay still, confusion grows. Momentum is a decision, and once it starts, it changes how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. Your future self is not asking for perfection. That version of you is begging you to stop wasting time, to stop negotiating with comfort, to stop believing you have unlimited chances. Because time is the one resource you never get back. You can lose money and recover. You can lose confidence and rebuild. But lost years don't return. Discipline today is a gift to your future self. Every small effort reduces future pain. Every avoided task increases it. The discomfort you avoid now doesn't disappear, it transfers. It shows up later as regret, stress, and limitation. Growth demands payment up front. Regret charges interest later. You don't need to change everything at once. You need to change something and repeat it. That's how futures are built. Quietly, slowly, relentlessly. The life you admire in others is the result of thousands of ordinary days done with intention. Right now, even this moment is shaping where you'll be 1 year from now, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, what you do consistently will eventually outweigh what you say you want. And whether you realize it or not, the future is already responding to the choices you're making today. Elevate your thinking, thrive in your life.